right, welcome to another exciting episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and somewhere's on the screen is my carnivore co-host Brian Damage Forsythe of Kix and the band Rhino Bucket, and we got a special guest. He's on the screen somewhere as well, Mr. Billy, the Supplier Willis from Delaware. So welcome back to the show, Billy.
Thank you very much.
So let's just get the weekend out of the way first. So both of you, we'll get your weeks out of the way in a second. Billy, I want to hear Brian. Brian, I saw pictures posted of the private party that was thrown somewheres in a remote location in California, well, with the band Rhino Bucket. So Brian, tell everybody how that gig went, because it looked like old school back in the day. It felt awesome. It had to feel like, I know you guys don't care where you play at, but it just felt like old school party in your backyard setup.
Yeah, it was kind of an odd gig because the woman that hired us was a friend of Dave, our drummer, and I guess Dave used to, at some point he lived in Santa Cruz, so he had all these friends from there, and that's where this took place, and so she hired us to do this party. It's like a going away party because she's selling her house, and it's up in the mountains. It was really a nice location. You had to take these little like one lane roads with like a drop off on one side, and you're just driving up through twists and turns and all these like pine trees, and it was beautiful up there. But it was a strange gig because it was one of these things where she just paid us this really nice lump sum, and then we had to take it upon ourselves to hire the production guy and all that, who also was like a high school friend of Dave's. So everybody was like a friend of Dave's. Yeah, and we get there, we didn't know what to expect, and we get there, and as you saw from the pictures, it was kind of set up on this little, it was like a patio next to the driveway kind of a thing, and facing the house. And it was just a small like gathering of people, just friends, but eventually people from the neighborhood started to sort of filter in because they heard the music, so they came up to check it out, and this woman just invited everybody in, and she had it catered, and it was kind of cool. So we had fun with it, and we played that Monsters on the Mountain gig, and that was the first time we played in close to 4 years. But we did a bunch of rehearsals, so we were ready for this one. So we kind of did we didn't really even have a set. We decided when we got there to wing it and just call out the songs as we went. So it was fun.
How was the weather? The weather looked awesome.
It was perfect. It was on the cool side, but like when the sun started to go down, it started to get a little chilly, but it was like, perfect fall weather.
That's awesome. So you said that you guys were playing towards, so on that picture, I'm going to post the picture here in a second so people can see what I'm talking about, but I saw the driveway kind of went up, and you guys were like on that plateau patio beside the thing. So you guys were literally, the house was sitting up on a hill, I guess. It went up.
Well, the actual driveway for the house was below us. It was
okay.
Like if you're looking at the band, it was off to the right, and that road you see on the top is actually another dirt road that went up into the woods.
So you guys literally were playing to the people. You were playing toward the house, and so were the people. So were the people in the front yard of that house, or on a porch, or whatever? Because it seemed pretty distant.
Well, she had tables set up. Oh, she had like a couple picnic tables right in front there in the driveway, and some chairs and stuff. And then there was a deck up above where people hung out too. And then there was a deck in the back where she had all the food.
So there was no shortage of food. So if you went away hungry, it was your fault.
Right. There was food and beer because she had like, I don't know, 5 kegs back there. And most of the crowd were like stoners, and So like we did 3 sets. Like we broke it up into 3 sets, and
Did you
so
think?
so in between, I was kind of mingling and wandering around and getting food and stuff. And man, there were some people that were just completely like zonked out. I mean, they're just sitting, their eyes were slits, and they couldn't even like, communicate anymore.
Is that when you guys broke into your Grateful Dead set?
Yeah, we could have.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you probably, I mean, that when that happens, did you get the munchies just from the residual smoke that was in the air?
No, luckily not. You know, the thing was there was a stack of those like bakery boxes in the kitchen, and I'm like, huh, I wonder what's in there. And then later on, they brought them out to where they had the food set up, and there were boxes and boxes of these like Halloween cookies, like bats and pumpkins, and and I open it up and I go, oh, I'm not even gonna like think about that one. Luckily, I'm not a big fan of those, whatever they are. There's
Icing, ice cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no carrot cake to tempt you.
No, no, luckily. But there was they made this seafood stew that was amazing.
So
It had like they looked like they were huge, these big fat shrimp that looked almost like mini lobsters. It was crazy.
wow.
And then it had mussels in there and scallops, and it was like, and crab meat. It
Was
was
it like
really
a
good.
seafood boil? Like it had corn in the cob and sausage, or just a steamer?
No, it was more like it was like a stew, but it was just tomato based. It didn't have any, like, I only saw like chunks of tomato in there. I didn't see any other thing,
Man,
vegetables floating around.
that's I'm as soon as we are done recording today's show, I'm heading right back where I did last Wednesday, back down to my favorite place, Tim's 2 at Fairview Beach for all you can eat crabs. So I'll be going there and hopefully getting my last batch. Uh-oh, Brian's gonna go.
This is thawing. This is my dinner for tonight.
Ah, look at that ribeye. Oh, well, you're prepared. Billy, you're smiling. What are you having?
I haven't even decided yet. It's been chaos. I'm getting hungry. Talking, it sounded like his seafood stew got me going, and then he pulls up the. He talk about crabs. I don't know where to go.
Well, hey, listen, it's a pleasure to have you back on with us, Billy. And I know what you're going to share. I think it's going to be very impactful for the viewers and for people who have been following and are trying to live a keto carnivore lifestyle. The reality of it is, it's tough to break old programming and old habits, especially when they get reintroduced to us after we've kind of fasted from those old ways. But it's amazing. Dr. Barry posted a video yesterday as well about
Yeah.
when you get off track and how to reset yourself and how to get back on the track. But I think as Brian shares all the time, and I've shared, your mind will justify anything that you want to say and give you a justification for eating something that is a poison or a toxin, and you can
Absolutely.
justify it no matter what you want to do. So Billy's brave enough, and I take my hat off to him for coming on here and being willing to share his life, because if you're living life out there, you hear Brian always having his steaks and one meal a day, but for a lot of you guys have to go on to work, and you're around other people. They're getting catered, they're bringing their own food in, they want you to participate in the birthday of the day club, have a piece of cake. Come on, one piece of cake's not going to hurt you, and you want to participate. So all those temptations are out there, and if you have a moment of weakness, you can turn around and go, you know what, it's Friday, I'm going to have a piece of cake, I'll work it off this weekend, and one piece of cake's not going to hurt me. Well, I think what you're going to hear from Billy, and I'll let Billy share it in his own words, is, and the reason why Brian and I talk about this over and over again, is because until you are able to say no and be able to veto what your mind or ego wants to do, your craving, you're gonna be constantly tempted, and you're gonna constantly be being put back down the mountain. Now, with that being said, the fact that you're even, like when I told Billy this, when he emailed Brian and I about this, the fact that you're thinking this way, thinking that I got to get back on the train, I got to reset myself, I got to get back to what I know works for me, is a great sign of growth. Because if you go back to your old self from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that would never be a thought in your head. You would just say, I feel bad. This is part of me feeling bad. It's what I got to go do. I'll go see a doctor. He'll give me a pill. I'll feel better next month. But the reality of it is you have the power and to make the right decisions so you can start fueling your body with foods that will make you healthy and build your immune system up, build your gut up, and allow you to feel better naturally. But enough of me rambling. Billy, do you mind sharing with everybody what went down the last month? Let's just start there.
All right. Well, we were supposed to be gathering this time, you, me, and Brian, to discuss how great my blood labs were going to be. And I got sidetracked, so we're going to hold off of that for a while.
Okay.
But about a month ago, stress starts building up, life starts happening, family matters call, and you have to go and you have to take care of things, and it puts you on the go. It puts you on the edge. It just turns into chaos real quick, and you start, I have to eat something. Well, I don't have time to eat that. Just one of this won't hurt me for that. And I'll get back on track tomorrow. And it just, I guess when you've been doing this keto or carnivore for a long time and you finally get that sugar and them chemicals and everything out of your body, it took a long time for your body to accumulate the way it is now, my body, and took a long time to get that stuff out of my system. And then when I go and just pour it back in, it wreaked havoc on me. It drove up blood pressure. It drove up blood sugars. It made the stress worse because maybe feeling guilty, but I can't do one piece of cake with the grandchild. I can't just have a snack. I can't have a treat meal because I snowballed. I snowballed so bad. I went about 3 weeks to, I'll have pizza with the kids tonight. I'm in a hurry. Let me just stop and grab a burger. And it just, if I felt that bad after 3 weeks of falling backwards, I can't imagine comparing it to how I felt 5-10 years ago. But it's damaging. It made me, it depressed me. It's a whole emotional thing. It's just, there's no going back. It's just, once you clean yourself up, you can't have a snack. You can't have a treat. It's just, I went out of control. I spiraled straight to rock bottom. It was nuts.
Let's just start with what caused you to pull yourself out of that spiral? Because you're 3 weeks in and it's something clicked, like, you know what, I'm waking up today, I can't do this anymore. Because what caused you, what motivated you to come out of the spiral?
To be blunt and honest, I was having trouble going to the bathroom. I was having gut cramps, headaches. I started feeling like I did a long time ago, but rapidly by the day getting worse. And I checked my blood sugars, just did one morning, and it was, almost 500. Yeah, so that was a little bit of a sobering moment. And then I developed a bad urinary infection because I didn't do my research, and I called the doctor and told him I wouldn't feel good. I need this soda here. I'll send this pill in for you. That'll take care of it, and that'll take care of your sugar, and you'll be all good as new. Well, took another medicine, and it's known for giving urinary and kidney and bladder infections. So that just made me feel worse. I'm like, you know what? It's one pill is not going to fix something. If I would have called him, he would have gave me, an antibiotic to take care of that. And next thing you know, I'm taking 10 pills a day. So that just prompted me to go to confession with you guys and just tell you how I felt. I had to tell somebody how I felt, because if I'd called a doctor, he would have wrote a prescription or scolded me or something like that.
Well, Billy, you're not alone. That's part of your journey. It was part of my journey. I had plenty of setbacks as I started to get closer and closer, knowing what I wanted to eat and what I should be eating for my health. But I would have setbacks along the way. It's just part of the journey. So, this is just part of the journey. I mean, yeah, you might have spiraled out of control for 3 weeks, but prior to that, you probably had 6 weeks that you were eating the way that you want to, in the direction that you want to go. So, don't beat yourself up. Like I said, every breath is a chance for forgiveness for yourself. Just forgive yourself and start then living that moment by moment by moment. And don't forget those other moments that you had, because, you don't want to go back feeling terrible. You don't want to have to go to the problem that you're having issues.
Right. Exactly. And I'm sorry, just, I don't think prescriptions are the way to go for this problem. Everything, when I felt better, it was from eating butter, it was from eating bacon, it was from eating steaks, fish, chicken, proteins, and fats, and I felt better than this was supposed to make me feel.
Mhm.
So
it's amazing to me, and just walk me through this, because I think it's amazing. So you called your doctor, and instead of a physician going, okay, well, let's kind of go over what you've had to eat for the last 3, what's changed in your diet, to go over that and say, well, let's talk about that. The answer is always what you just showed on the screen, that little bottle. And when the reality of it is, you read any true studies that have been done in regards to your gut or inflammation, and it all points to the fact that we all have the power to control that through our diet, through what we decide to digest. Brian, like, you got something to say?
No, I'm just following along here. But yeah, you're correct. You doctors are just so quick to just throw a pill at it, and that's just it's treating the symptoms, the same old thing.
The sad part of it is that doesn't help. That's like the old saying of just putting lipstick on a pig, or putting a second coat of paint. That's not going to solve the problem. Putting the same color of paint that you want to have gone. If someone sits there and says, "Oh, I want a gray house," and you have a pink house, and someone gives you pink paint, that doesn't solve your problem that you want a gray house. You're just going to put the same paint that causes you aggravation. And when they keep giving you pills and not addressing your dietary habits, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to be living in that pink house that you don't like living in.
right. Yep.
So you've pulled yourself out of the spiral. So now what are you doing? How are you living your life now, Billy?
I have a few more mouths to feed around here, and so they don't quite eat the way I do. So it's a challenge. Every day is a challenge to get back, to get right. But with a few mouths to feed comes a little bit more cost. So I have to be more creative with my carnivore and my keto and the things that I buy. I can't, when you have 5 at the table, it's kind of hard to go with the ribeye and the other stuff. So I'm trying to find some ground beef dishes to make. I'm trying to find ways to take cheaper, tougher cuts of meat and cubing them and marinating them in like citric acid, like lemon type marinades to soften everything up. I have to be creative, because if I don't prepare myself, I'll grab an Elio's pizza with the kids. You know what I mean? So I got to defend myself constantly. It's harder now than it was when I started the first time.
One of the things that goes a long way that's cheap, because right now even with the meat deals that Brian shared with us earlier today, matter of fact, I've been to the store lately. I don't know how it is in Tennessee or in Delaware, but it's hard to find ribeyes on the in the meat racks anymore.
Yep.
They're not in Giant anymore. And Food Line, there's a small section you have to literally find them, and they may be gone. So there's definitely they're definitely not the choices you had, but to be able to budget, and just talking about budget for a second, you can get, tuna fish or chicken salad. I mean, chicken in a can at Costco by the case, and you can make a really healthy tuna salad or a chicken salad that will last, you for a long time. Definitely feed a group of 5, and that 5 can, since they're not eating your style, they can, make sandwiches out of it, however they want to have it. You can just eat it in a bowl with romaine lettuce wrap if you want, or just plain. But chicken's a good deal too. I mean, chicken's cheap. As a matter of fact, I just smoked a whole bunch of legs, chicken legs, because you can't find chicken wings because there's a shortage of them. I don't know how you can have the chicken legs but not the chicken wings. But I don't know, these chickens are I don't know what they're doing, but they're not growing wings. They're just growing legs. But they had them on sale, and I bought a package of legs and thighs, and I tried a different method and seasoning this time. And let me just tell you, there's a seasoning. I forget who the name of the manufacturer of the seasoning is, but it's called bacon. It's just bacon. And I coated the chicken legs, half the chicken legs in that bacon seasoning, and the other chicken legs I cooked, I seasoned in Old Bay, my traditional Old Bay spices, and I smoked them. Oh my gosh, they were delicious. And I'm telling you, I had enough chicken. I fed 3 people on Monday. I still probably got 10 pieces left over. And after having a couple pieces Peggy and I on Tuesday, that whole package was $10. So,
wow.
Yeah, great.
It definitely is a challenge when there are other people involved. And I've kind of, it's weird, like especially like traveling and trying to order food or find a place where I can find food that I can eat. Um, I kind of make it into a game and a challenge, and yeah, it just becomes this fun game for me. It's just like, let me see if I can make this work, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, where was I? I was at God, where was I? I was just where was I eating? Oh, it was at the airport. That's why. Like sometimes I can weasel my way around and special order, but this one airport restaurant, the guy was like, no, we can't change anything. You gotta order it like it is. And I'm like, well, I posted it. It was like bacon and scrambled eggs.
Right.
But on the other side of the plate was a mound of like potatoes and the bread stacked over there. And I even told them, you can leave that off of there, but it was like almost like they couldn't. They just had to bring the whole thing, and it's like, well, that's a waste.
Were they pre-made and just microwave the whole thing, or they have to add them on after? I mean, that doesn't make any sense unless he's just programmed like you always do this because our inventory says we have this many potatoes left over. I mean, that's the way they track inventory. I don't know, but it sounds like a waste of money to me.
It was. I didn't understand it at all. It's like, well, I'm not going to eat it, and I was trying to get. It was a bummer because we were there around. It was probably like I can't remember what time it was. It was before. It was right at the end of breakfast, before lunch, and I saw they had a bacon cheeseburger, and I'm like, oh. So and then they also had the eggs. So I was going to get a bacon cheeseburger and have them add eggs and stuff, but nah, there was just no. It was too early for the cheeseburger, so I had to just go with the bacon and eggs, and it was like it was enough. Luckily, we were back here in Nashville by 5, so I just thought, well, I'll just eat this now, and then eat something later, which it worked out.
Good.
But that is, I mean, Billy, you're talking about your family, and I hear that a lot with people that are trying to do this on their own, and their family's not doing the same thing, and it's I can't imagine that challenge. I mean, I'm well, for the longest time, I was on my own with this, which is a lot easier. But now I have Shannon's here, and she doesn't eat like I do. I mean, she's kind of keto-ish, um, but
She dips her toe in the pool.
yeah, but so usually I make two separate meals. I'll be like later on, I'll be smoking and searing that ribeye. But then, like lately, I've been making her these keto pizzas or carnivore.
Look good.
They're keto.
Yeah.
They look good.
Yeah, they do. They smell good, but I can't go there with all the cheese and the tomato. The tomato sauce is what kills me. I love the way it tastes, but yeah,
Messes
I
up the
pay for
gut, huh?
that.
And
Yeah.
that's where my trouble started, was on the road. I should have called Brian before I took off. We did a 2,500-mile trip in a matter of 3.5 days.
Wow.
And I'm just rolling down 95, and I'm hungry. I'd stop and get gas. You grab a piece of beef jerky, and it says keto carb, we're friendly, and you look at it, and then the first thing on the ingredients is beef and brown sugar and sugar. And it literally, it started triggering me, and I was like, oh, what's it going to hurt? We're in a hurry. I'll straighten up when I get back home, and just grab me something from Hardee's or Bojangles, or just grabbing something. And man, the next thing you know, I couldn't wait to get to the next rest stop or to get it. And that's where it started. It was on the road, not making the right choices on the road.
Yeah, like you were saying with the beef jerky, even though it may be a small amount of sugar in there, I mean, for me, myself, I know how it feels. You have that little bit, and all of a sudden you're starting to think, like my mind will just wake up, and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm thinking, like, what else can I eat that's sweet, that's not too bad for me? And it's like, that's where my mind goes with that stuff.
Exactly. I was like, well, that didn't hurt, so this won't hurt either.
Right.
And I got back, I was like, you know what? Why don't we get a pizza and some chicken wings, and get one of the big gigantic cookies too? That won't hurt.
Right.
So,
yeah.
That plane ground crashed and burned.
Yeah. I have traveled that road, Billy. I have done that. And just like Brian says, as soon as I would justify it in my mind, and that's proof of how addictive sugar is, because it triggers those food synapses, and you're just like, ooh, you can't. Then all you're doing is grazing throughout your whole day. You're like, oh, what else? And you find yourself, all you're doing is grazing through your day. And when you get off of that, you can think about food, but you're not hungry. You're stuffed still. You're like, you know what? I'm not. Probably about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I'm gonna have some food. Have my one meal of the day. It's just amazing when you break free. But as soon as you do what you did, which I've done it, so I'm guilty of it as well. You just start being on that hamster wheel of, what am I going to eat next? What am I going to eat next? What am I going to eat next? And we justify it, as I said from the beginning. We justify it until we get to the point where we just like, man, I'm going to kill myself to keep doing this. I got to stop. And that's where you are. It took me, you did it in 3 weeks. I mean, it took me years to finally go, you know what, Peggy and I look at each other going, we can't keep doing this. We're going to just die. Let's be healthy, and making that decision. But, kudos to you, Billy, because it's got to be awfully hard with the stress that you are under. And I know I don't need to share it, but also the fact that you got other people in your household who don't want to eat the way that you need to eat. And so it's difficult. That probably adds to stress, because you're feeling like, you're off alone. You're not eating what they want to go eat. So but kudos for you for waking up and saying, you know what, I got to get back. I can't do this, or I'm going to kill myself, because that's the reality of what happens.
It is the reality. And sugar is evil. I mean, I'm having headaches. I'm having withdrawals. I constantly remind myself, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. And it gets to where I can't sit still. It looks like I'm having coffee jitters, but it's it's sugar jitters. It's just, I want sugar.
Yeah, you mentioned, checking your blood sugar and all that. That is actually a good tool. I'll do that myself to sort of deter myself from, like, if the thought comes in my mind, I just think about checking my blood, like if I was to eat that and check my blood sugar, what the result would be, and just going through that thought process for me is enough to stop me from doing stuff sometimes.
I'm gonna have to start using every tool I got, because I mean, sitting right here, it's just, I know there's an ice cream cone in the freezer that far away from me. There's an Elio's pizza right there, and you know what I mean. But there's also frozen tuna. You know what I mean? It's just opening that door and reaching for the right shelf is the hardest choice right now.
Yeah, somebody, I don't know whose video it was I was watching. Maybe it was, it might have been on one of those Q&As with Dr. Barry and his wife, uh, talking about when you feel like you want to eat a snack or something, um, if you like go into the refrigerator and look at something like healthy, like some bacon or like a burger patty or something, if that doesn't appeal to you, that's actually telling you that you're not really hungry, and that's another great way to handle that. It's like if you really, if you're thinking about, like, say, sweets or something that you shouldn't be eating, and can't substitute it for, like, say, some bacon or a hard-boiled egg or a burger patty or something, then that's telling you you're not eating because you're really hungry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And exactly what you mean. It's like right now I'm not really hungry, but I want to eat. I want to gorge myself right now, and it's just this is helping. But like you said, maybe I should just open it up and say, why do I want this? What's it going to do for me if I eat it? But it's
Yeah,
hard.
kind of follow that through, like I do with the blood sugar thing.
Yeah, I mean, now you got a recent memory to go, okay, if I give in to that product, that food item right there, then it's going to lead me to these other food products, and then I'm going to have this issue, this issue, this issue, and it's going to set me back from where I want to be. And so, do I want the food thought to win and my ego, or do I want my body and my health to thrive and survive? And that's the challenge that each of us have. I mean, it's nobody else's fault but our own. I mean, we have to make that decision, and we have to grow ourselves strong enough to be able to look at stuff and say no, to be able to offer stuff and say no, and 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 learn those different coping mechanisms that are out there for you to utilize for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just feel like the sugar attachment is the hardest this time than it's ever been in the past. For some reason, I just, the sweetness is, the craving is so much stronger than it has been any other time that I've tried to clean myself up. It's crazy, and I've been reading a lot about it, and it's a poison. It's an addiction. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
sugar addiction is worse than a heroin addiction. I mean, it's harder for you to truly wean yourself off of sugar. So it's a real addiction.
yeah, it should be referred to as a substance, not a food.
That's a great way, Brian. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's right. It should be. That's great. It should be looked at as a substance. You're right.
I quit smoking in 1999, cold turkey, and I was terrified. I thought it was going to be the hardest thing I would do in my life. And food and sugar has been 20 times harder than breaking nicotine addiction. It just, I was, now I feel bad for picking on people about quitting. You know, they're having trouble quitting smoking. Well, I can't quit sugar.
Sorry, everybody.
That's all right.
So Billy, I know one of the last times you were on, you mentioned, um, you were trying the fasting thing, and you got I forget how many hours you finally
I made one time, I think it was like 72 hours, but I
oh
took
you
the opportunity
oh
that
you did a
yeah,
72.
yes, when I was prepping for
Wow.
my work done. So I figured if I got to be hungry for that, I might as well just power through, because the doctor's like, you can have clear liquids, you can have Jello, you can have, and I was like, you know what, let's just take this opportunity, and I powered right through it, and it was like I was having a hard time, and all of a sudden I got up one morning, it was clear. I drank some water, and the craving went away. So
Wow, okay.
I was able to fast that long. Then I got my bowel procedure done, and of course I gorged afterwards. But that time I think I had like a big gigantic steak and some seafood. You know, not
Yeah.
Alia's pizza.
So so you made it. So you made it at 72 hours, because that's the longest fast I've done was 72, and that was rough for me. And I
Yeah,
fast every day. But have you tried the daily thing at all?
I do. Sometimes I can get 12 hours and I'm getting grumpy, you know, and that
Okay.
12 hours includes what I'm sleeping. So
Right. Yeah, because I'm thinking, you know, you may want to try just doing that again, because there's something about the fasting thing that, like, if you really stick to it, it almost builds your I don't know what it is, confidence maybe. Uh,
Willpower, control,
willpower.
willpower.
well, I wouldn't even call it willpower, because I know I don't have any, but it's like this discipline. It's sort of it's like an exercise in discipline or something. Like for me, that really helps when it comes to not giving into things.
Right.
Just the practice of that intermittent fasting itself, there's something powerful about that.
Right. Now let me ask you this, Brian. When you get up in the morning and you have your coffee, and your butter, do you put butter in your coffee?
I actually don't even have coffee until after, like, I get up and I do
Okay.
my workout, so I don't even have coffee till close to noon. And yeah, that's when I usually I'll put the butter in. But if it's and by that point I'm probably 18 hours in to the fast
Yeah.
or more. But if I haven't hit my 16 hours yet, I won't put the butter in the coffee. I'll just have black coffee.
Okay. Because that's the first thing I do in the morning is up and kids out the door, and I have my coffee. And a lot of times that coffee's on an empty stomach, and sometimes that gives me a little bit of a grumbly tumbly. So it's like I was wondering if adding butter to it would sort of hold me over a little bit longer, but I guess adding butter would break the fast.
Yeah, and like, well, technically it does, but you could probably do. I mean, that is the reason for that, for the whole bulletproof coffee thing is to the fat will keep you from being hungry for a couple more hours.
Yeah. And I appreciate that code for that Life Boost coffee. That stuff's pretty good.
Yeah, that's my
So
favorite. It's like so smooth.
I've just been ordering coffee from all over the world here lately. It's just some reason I'm loving coffee. I'm trying to replace the sugar addiction with the coffee, because I'm using whole cream with that, and just a little bit of sucralose drops, just like 4 drops of it, and it takes off the bitterness off the coffee, but it doesn't taste like a sugar sweet to me. So the coffee has been my morning crutch.
Well,
Wondering,
the sweeteners can actually trigger your sugar cravings,
yes,
so you got to be
that's
careful with them.
I did a whole lot of research, and I don't have it sitting here with me, but it's I ordered it off the internet. It's basically sucralose. It's I don't know how many times sweeter than sugar, and literally a drop does what 4 or 5 tablespoons of Splenda would do, and Splenda does trigger me. But the sucralose, thankfully, has just been okay. It does okay for me.
Hmm.
not as sweet as sugar, but it does takes the bitterness off of it.
I use salt for that myself.
Do you?
Yeah.
I got my red mints. I can try that.
Yeah, I always put like a little pinch, like a quarter teaspoon maybe in my coffee. And actually salt, I use that a lot. Well, I did back at the beginning when I was struggling with it, when I first started keto and I was struggling with the, letting go of the sweets, because I would bounce back and forth at the beginning. It took me a long time, but I eventually started replacing sugar with salt. And
Okay.
there's something about the sensation of the saltiness that it would take care of the cravings for the sugar.
I'll try that.
Yeah, that's another tool.
Another thing you can do, Billy, to have always available so you're not tempted, is to do hard-boiled eggs and just put them in a bag. On Monday, just make yourself a dozen hard-boiled eggs, put them in a bag, have them in the refrigerator, and then just have your salt, your red mint salt, sprinkle on the egg, and eat it whatever time you're going to start to eat. If you start to feel gross, just pop an egg in your mouth, and I'm telling you, that's a great nutritional item to have. That's going to be nothing but good for you.
Funny you say that, Jim. I shop at Restaurant Depot. It's for restaurant type places. It's a big outlet warehouse, and I just bought 9 dozen eggs.
Wow.
It was like $12. I couldn't walk away. It was just like, so yeah. I'm like, I can make salad, I can have eggs.
It's such a cheap. I mean, Aldi's, at least the Aldi's around our place is 66 cents a dozen. So nice. You can buy 10 dozen for less than $7, and and they can feed an army.
Yeah, eggs are definitely good for you.
Yeah,
you can't find duck eggs around here anymore, but I keep searching.
How about ostrich eggs? They still around?
Next spring, that you're gonna let me know next spring. So maybe we can figure out who we're gonna drop an egg on next year.
So Billy, what's your plan moving forward? So how many weeks you're going to go before you go back? I know you wanted to get your labs and all that done. When do you think you're going to do that?
I would like to go, and I have the lab slips, so I'm going to call and have the date changed. I would like to go. I'd say maybe my birthday's December 1st, so maybe go around my birthday so I can maybe get some positive results and, celebrate a little bit without sweet. But
Gotcha.
I'm thinking about the 1st of December. I'm going to try to go and get them. And then we'll share them and compare the last ones to these and then see the difference and show everybody the difference. I'm transparent,
No, I think you're going to have a lot of people that you're going to encourage, and by you being transparent, you're going to help a lot of people who are having the same struggles that all of us had at some point. So it's not just Billy, it's all of us. And that's just part of the highway we got to travel down in order to get to the destination that we want to operate from. So thanks for your honesty and for your transparency. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you for your support and not judging me and, being supportive without being judgmental. I appreciate that.
All right. It's that time of the evening where we get a chance to check in with our meat reporter, Brian Shanker of the MeatTribe, to give us our meat deals of the week. Brian, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. So you got anything good for us this week?
I do.
Yay.
I don't have any ribeye deals, unfortunately, but I do have some other stuff. So first up, we're going to talk about Carnes. Central PA is they're local to Central PA, and they've got a few deals going on through November 8th, and both of them are choice grade and boneless. I've talked about it before. They sell whole cuts of meat there, so they've got the whole boneless New York strips. It's a custom cut for free while you're there, and they say it's an average of 12 pounds. Now, on the flip side, you can get their New York strips already cut and packaged, and you're going to pay for the whole one, it's $6.99 per pound. But for the steaks that are already cut and prepackaged, it's $10.99 a pound. And people are are thinking, well, why would I pay $10.99 per pound for a steak when I can buy a whole boneless New York strip for $6.99 a pound? Well, the reason for that is it's an average of 12 pounds that you're going to be purchasing. So the total cost would be $83.88 total. I don't know how many steaks you could get out of that because it's going to vary depending on how thick you want them. But not everybody's going to be able to fork out, $84 for a bunch of steaks at one time. So that's why you would buy their prepackaged, single or double steaks packages versus getting a whole boneless New York strip cut. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Now I'd probably try to save up where I could buy the whole slab, get it cut to my preferred thickness, and leave 2 out for my wife and I to eat and throw the rest in the freezer.
Talking about cutting, last week you had the porterhouse that were at Food Lion, and you say they can self-cut, and they have a sign there in the meat department saying, we'll custom cut your sizes for you. So all the porterhouse steaks they had there, their cuts were, like a half inch. They were, not big. So I went back to the meat counter. I said, hey, can you cut me some like 1.5 inch porterhouse? He's like, no, we don't have a saw. I'm like, so I go, well, how do you, I said, well, you better take your sign down over here. And he's like, no, he goes, we don't have a saw. We can't cut through bone. We used to, but we still, with our knives, can cut ribeyes for you, whatever size you want. We just can't do the bones. So he said, so we still do custom cuts. It's just we can't do it with anything with the bone in.
That's interesting. So my next deal, I was going to talk about Food Lion. They've got some choice grade boneless New York strip steaks this week for $7.99 per pound. Maybe I'll run over there. Maybe it's just you're unlucky and it's just your store versus all of them. But I'll report back next week to find out if my local Food Lion has the ability to cut steaks that have bones in them.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, because this one is actually, this week it's boneless New York strips. But I'll still stop by and see if that's the case, because that is a little misleading to have custom cut all over their advertisement, even in the store, like you're saying. Yeah. And they can only do ribeyes, not the porterhouses and T-bones and bone-in type steaks. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Next, the other deal that Food Lion has, and both the Food Lion deals run through the 9th. The one I was just talking about was a choice grade boneless New York, excuse me, New York strip for $7.99 per pound. They've also got 25% off all their Nature's Promise. Sorry, getting an alert. They've also got 25% all their Nature's Promise meat and seafood. So 25% discount on all that stuff. Harris Teeter, we were talking about how the stores always seem to have the same cut of steak on sale at the same time. Food Lion, New York strips. Harris Teeter, New York strips. So they've got their rancher grade boneless. The value pack is $7.99 per pound, and the small pack is $8.49 per pound. And again, you're talking 2 steaks, I think, per package for the small pack versus 3 for the value pack. And Kroger, Brian, we've got some choice grade boneless strip steaks. They didn't call them New York strips, but strip steaks on sale for $8.99 per pound. And then they've got a bunch of choice grade roasts, and the Kroger deals run through the 9th. They've got some eye of round roast, sirloin tip roast, and chuck roast, all for 25% off. So not too bad. Not a lot of deals out there. That's all I've got for you this week. I'll have more on my channel, on my update that I do on Fridays.
Sure. So everybody, make sure you tune into his channel, subscribe to him, give him the thumbs up, hit the bell at MeatTribe channel on YouTube. So Brian, thanks so much. We will see you again next Friday. Thanks for checking in with us and giving us those great deals.
Sounds good, guys. Have a great day.
All right. Take care. Well, it's our pleasure. Brian, you got any more questions for Billy or any more tips?
Not offhand, but yeah, just hang in there, and that's all you can do is just jump back on the track, and just keep going.
gonna try.
All right.
I did good today. I'm gonna try to do better tomorrow. Is what I keep telling myself. But
Yeah, well, just worry about today, and that's all you have to worry about. So,
that's it.
like they say in
Awesome.
like they say in AA, one day at a time. But
That's it.
sometimes you got to break it down to even like smaller increments, like 1 minute at a time. You know.
One breath at a
It's been,
time.
like, it has been that way. It's like,
Well,
well,
listen,
I
go ahead, Bill. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
just follow what Brian says. I did good for half a day. Let's try a whole day tomorrow and just do what I can do when I can do it. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely, if there's any advice I'd give, I definitely say intermittent fasting definitely will help set the table for you to be able to succeed. It's going to give you what you need to be able to withstand the onslaught of come here, eat me.
That's right.
Yeah. You're like, no, not yet. And and that's half the battle. It's and that brings you, that empowers you when you sit there and can go, no, not today, not right now. And so stay in control, and we're looking forward to having you back in December to hear those results back. And I know they're going to be positive for you.
I hope so.
Awesome. Well, we'll let you go. Have a great day, Billy. Thanks for being on, and we'll see you in December. And have a happy Thanksgiving if I don't talk to you.
Absolutely. Take care, gentlemen.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Wow. We each have a reminder when someone has a setback. It just reminds us how every moment in our own lives, that can happen to any of us. So kudos to Billy for coming on here and being able to share the trials and path that he's been walking down, and to encourage all of us not to learn from that. Just like it definitely causes me to want to just rededicate myself. And in the times that I had those setbacks, I guess what I'm trying to say is I can totally relate what he's saying. I've been there, done that. And it's not a good place to be, especially when, and Brian, yeah, I know you know this, you don't want to be doing that, but there you are, doing it, and you feel terrible, and the amount of guilt that gets placed on you just because you can't believe. You start to, what's wrong with you? You start saying to yourself, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? Why can't I say no? Why can't I walk away from this donut? Why can't I walk away from this sausage biscuit or this sausage gravy?
Yeah. I mean, I relate not only to the food stuff, but I mean, I've gone through rehab and recovery with alcohol and drugs, and it's all the same. And I remember back before I got sober, looking at myself in the mirror and going, what is wrong with you? Like I had no idea. But it's, addiction is a powerful thing.
It is. It totally is. And it's amazing how easy it is to fall back into those habits that we know are detrimental to us. As many nights that I woke up on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, look in the mirror, bloodshot eyes and face, and going, why did I do that? I said I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to go drink that. I wasn't going to do that,
Right.
And but you do it, and you're just questioning yourself, like, what's wrong with me? But go ahead.
Well, the thing is, I mean, even like when it comes to, say, alcohol or sugar, it's like if you give in, to just the smallest amount, and it applies across the board. Once you do that, there's no telling what's going to happen after that. I mean, for me anyway. So it's like, I can't do that. I just know I can't do it. So but I mean, I was talking about the different tools that I use.
Right.
Another tool that I didn't mention is educating myself and reading about this stuff. I mean, like that gut book that I'm still working on.
Me too.
All that stuff. I mean, it just, the more that I research this stuff and I listen to podcasts, and it just reinforces what's going on inside that you don't even know when you eat something like that. You don't know I mean, there's so much that it affects, and sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it takes years for it to come out, but you're still doing damage to your body. And so the more that I learn about this stuff, the more it keeps me from doing it too.
Nope. Nope, that's good. Education is definitely key, because you begin to, like, I think it's so, I know I keep saying this, but when people are willing to share what they've gone through, like Brian shares his life, what he's gone through, but the ability to come on here and share it as it's happening, it's so impactful for other people who may be right on the brink of following that same path that he just took. So it's very impactful to know that. But when you start to educate yourself on things, you may learn so many different things about you. Like, we look at candy and sugar in this country as that's a good thing. We just had Halloween weekend, so everybody's loading up on sugar. And we really have no clue, at least the majority of people who consume the substance, they have no clue what it's doing to their body, the inflammation, the havoc it's wreaking on their digestive system.
And I mean, the worst is it causes heart disease. And then people think it's the steak and the bacon and the eggs. It's the sugar.
Right.
And that's the thing. They don't realize how serious that is.
Yeah. Now let me ask you a question. So, like, AA meetings, is there people there? Is it strictly for alcohol, or is there people that go there because they have food addictions?
Oh, there's a separate program for that, but it's
Is
it's
okay.
based on the same 12 steps. But yeah.
Okay. Because
But you can apply it to anything. I mean, AA, it's Alcoholics Anonymous, but
right.
most people in AA, they do drugs too, or have done drugs too.
Right.
It's basically addiction. So, I mean, I apply that also I apply to food.
Right. Those coping mechanisms that you're going to learn are going to help you in all areas of your life, whether it's a substance or just decision-making skills. You're going to be able to apply that in all areas. But yeah, it's just amazing that we live in a country where you're programmed that candy's okay. Candy's given to you at a dental appointment after you've gone through having a checkup when you're a kid. They give you candy or gum, and it's just amazing. We just become acclimated to the fact there's nothing wrong with eating this stuff, and so we really got to stop living the lie.
And using it as a reward, because it's not.
Yes.
Like, who would shoot themselves as a reward? No, and that's basically what you're doing.
That's it. No, that's it. That's the perfect way. That's how I stopped chewing tobacco. I was like, every time I put this in my mouth, I'm killing myself. So I got to make a decision. Do I want to live to see tomorrow, or am I going to let this can of Kodiak or Copenhagen take my life? No. And you have to really, that's the black and white of it. That's what I have to do. I have to say nope. And I just like Billy said, I went cold turkey on that. And that's what you have to do, knowing full well that if you just take a little bit of it, of the sugar or that substance, it can take you back down to a very dark place, and you don't want to go there because it's not healthy for you. And that's the other thing I was going to say. I don't think people really realize that food, I mean, they realize that they have an emotional tie to it, because it's why you have comfort food. But I don't think they really realize how it does impact your chemicals that your body's creating, and can cause depression, cause different issues for you, can cause like you to be grumpy. So when you start to read these types of resources that are out there in regards to your gut health, you're truly unlocking wisdom that you can utilize for your benefit. And once as Brian, I think Brian makes it a game of what can I get wherever I'm located at. He doesn't go, oh, I'm going to be in California, so I better scout out where places I'm going to be. Now, he may do that, and he probably does. But when you're thrown into a thing, you got to sit there and observe and look at everything and go, you know what? I can have that. I can have this. If I combine those two, that's going to be a great little combo, and just get excited about it. Go, yeah, that's what I'm going to have. I'm going to have eggs and bacon. That's it. So what? Eggs and bacon, not a bad combination.
Yeah, and I do that. I scour the, like if it's a menu, I go, well, I only want the meat from here, and then I look and I see like, well, there's a burger that involves bacon, so they have bacon, and then I see somewhere else where there's even. I was at I was at the Monsters on the Mountain. I was at the hotel restaurant, and I got a bacon cheeseburger, and I was like, oh man, too bad I didn't have an egg. And then I looked in the salads; they had hard-boiled eggs in the salads. So I said, can I get like a hard-boiled egg on the side? And she brought me 2 hard-boiled eggs to go with my burger. So I mean, I got everything I wanted in that meal, and it was just from picking stuff off the menu, you know.
So
And it's easy to do instead of just giving in. Say, you know, you're at the airport and all there is a McDonald's or something. You don't have to eat a burger with the bun and all that stuff. You could just get the meat. And that's what I do. I get like a double quarter pounder with bacon and with no bun, no ketchup or any of that other stuff on it. And I mean, there's a way to do it if you really want to, you know.
yeah, absolutely. If there's a will, there's a way, and you will figure it out. So talking about there's a will, there's a way. So Brian, I know you told us earlier about your trip out with the Rhino Buck out in California. What upcoming shows do you have that people can show up at?
Next week we're playing in Pittsburgh at this place called Jurgles. And then the week after we're at the Tally Ho Theater for 2 nights.
Awesome. Well, I may catch you at the Tally Ho. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to take a look at the schedule. I may catch you guys. But anyway, I think it's that time to say goodnight to everybody. So Brian, yes, go ahead. Oh, he's got props. What would you tell people to do that would help them live a healthier lifestyle?
I would say eat your meat.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, we'll see you next Friday. Our guest next week is Carrie Husband. She's out of California. We've never had her on the show before. She's got a great testimony of what keto means to her and why she lives the keto lifestyle. So she'll be our guest next Friday. So return back. And during the week, you guys stay safe, stay well, and stay out of the hospital. And we'll see you next Friday, everybody.
See ya.